Rain pressed heavily against the window, the steady rhythm filling the silent room. Lily Carter stood still, her fingers trembling as she held a thin sheet of paper. The words on it felt heavier than anything she had ever carried. DNA report. Her vision blurred. Tears gathered, but she didn't wipe them away. After all these years, she had finally found proof. Proof that she belonged. A weak laugh escaped her lips, hollow and bitter. They still chose her. Her voice was soft, almost swallowed by the rain. The paper slipped from her hand and drifted to the floor. The memory came back like a knife. The Carter mansion had never looked so bright, so warm, yet Lily had never felt colder. She stood in the center of the living room, her hands clenched tightly, her heart racing with fragile hope. I'm your real daughter, she said, her voice shaking despite her effort to stay calm. Across from her, Emma Carter clung tightly to Sophia, tears streaming down her face. I don't want to leave. Please don't send me away, Emma cried, her voice filled with desperation. Sophia's expression wavered, her eyes filled with conflict, but her arms tightened around Emma instead of loosening. David Carter stood tall, his face unreadable, his tone calm and distant. We raised Emma for over 20 years. Ethan let out a quiet scoff, crossing his arms. And now you suddenly appear and expect us to accept everything just like that. Lily took a small step forward, her voice almost breaking. I'm not asking for everything. I just want enough. David's single word cut through her sentence. The room fell silent. Sophia looked at Lily, her lips trembling slightly, but she didn't move. Not a step. Noah hesitated, his brows furrowing as he looked at Lily, something uneasy in his eyes. He took half a step forward. But Ethan grabbed his arm. Don't get involved. That small movement was enough. It said everything. No one chose her. No one reached for her. And just like that, the truth didn't matter anymore. Life after that moment became something dull and colorless. Lily stayed in the city, but she never truly existed in it. She worked long hours, taking whatever jobs she could. Small apartments, cold meals, sleepless nights, it all blurred together. Sometimes, she would pass by large screens in shopping malls or see headlines on her phone. The Carter family. Successful. Untouchable. Perfect. Emma always stood beside them, smiling, elegant, loved. The daughter they chose. Winter came quietly that year. Lily sat by the window of her small apartment, wrapped in a thin coat that did little to keep out the cold. City lights flickered in the distance, beautiful but far away. Her phone rested beside her. Silent. No calls. No messages. No one. She stared at it for a long time before letting out a soft breath. Maybe. I shouldn't have come back. The words lingered in the air, fragile and heavy. Her chest tightened, her breathing slowed. The cold seeped deeper, numbing everything. Her vision faded. And then, nothing. Air rushed into her lungs. Lily gasped sharply, her body jolting upright as if she had been pulled from deep water. Her hands gripped the blanket beneath her. Warm. Soft. Real. She froze. Slowly, she looked around. The room was familiar. Too familiar. Her heartbeat quickened as she threw the blanket aside and stumbled toward the mirror. The girl staring back at her was younger. Her skin wasn't pale and worn. Her eyes weren't dull. She looked alive. Lily raised her hand, touching her face as if she couldn't believe it. Her reflection did the same. Her voice trembled. I'm back. Her gaze shifted quickly to the calendar on the wall. The date. Her fingers tightened. Her breath caught in her throat. One day before everything changes. One day before the truth is revealed. Silence filled the room. Then she laughed. Soft at first. Then sharper. Not happiness. Not relief. Something colder. Something clearer. So, this is my second chance. She stared at her reflection for a long moment. In her previous life, she had waited. She had hoped. She had begged for a place in their hearts. And what did she get? Nothing. Her expression slowly changed. The softness in her eyes faded. I won't do it again. Her voice was quiet, but firm. I won't go back. The house was peaceful the next morning. Servants moved quietly through the halls, unaware of the storm that was about to come. Inside her room, Lily packed in silence. She didn't hesitate. She didn't pause. Clothes. Documents. Cash. Only what she needed. Nothing more. She didn't take anything that tied her to this place. No photos. No memories. When she finished, she looked around the room one last time. It had always been called her room, but it never felt like home. She picked up her phone, staring at it for a moment. Then calmly removed the SIM card. With a small, decisive motion. She snapped it in half. The sound was quiet, but final. By the time the sun began to rise, Lily stood at the gates of the Carter mansion. A small suitcase rested beside her. Golden light spread across the sky, soft and warm. Behind her was everything she once longed for. Wealth. Status. Family. In front of her. A life she had never dared to choose. She didn't look back. Not even once. Miss Lily. A servant's voice came from behind, slightly confused. You're leaving so early? Lily paused for a brief moment. Then she turned slightly, offering a faint, polite smile. Just going out. Her voice was calm. As if nothing was different. As if everything was normal. And then she walked away. Step by step. Without hesitation. Later that day, the Carter family gathered in the living room. The atmosphere was heavier than usual. David stood near the window, his expression serious. The DNA results will arrive today. Sophia sat beside Emma, holding her hand tightly. No matter what happens, you are still my daughter. Emma lowered her head, her voice trembling. I understand, Mom. Ethan leaned against the wall, clearly impatient. This whole situation is unnecessary. Noah frowned slightly, his voice quieter. But, what if it's true? No one answered him. A servant entered the room, holding an envelope. Sir, the report has arrived. David took it, opening it without hesitation. His eyes scanned the contents. Then stopped. His expression changed. Not dramatically, but enough. Sophia's fingers tightened around Emma's hand. What does it say? A brief silence. Then David spoke. Lily Carter is our biological daughter. The words settled into the room like a weight. Emma's face went pale. Ethan straightened, his brows furrowing. Noah's eyes widened. Sophia's lips trembled. Then, where is she? Another servant rushed in, panic clear in his voice. Sir. Miss Lily is not in her room. Ethan frowned. What do you mean she's not in her room? We searched everywhere, she's gone. Call her, David said immediately. The servant hesitated. We tried, her phone is unreachable. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Noah spoke softly, almost to himself. She left. No one answered. But for the first time, something felt wrong. Deeply wrong. Far away from the mansion, the city moved as usual. Crowds filled the streets. Cars passed by. Life continued. And among them, Lily Carter disappeared quietly into the world, as if she had never existed there at all. The living room remained silent long after the words settled. She's gone. No one moved at first, as if reacting would make it real. David Carter was the first to regain composure. He placed the report down neatly on the table, his expression returning to its usual calm. Find her. His voice was steady, controlled. To him, this was a problem. And problems had solutions. Ethan let out a sharp breath, running a hand through his hair. This has to be a joke, he muttered. She finds out the truth and suddenly disappears. What is this, some kind of act? Noah frowned, his unease growing. She didn't even know the result yet, he said quietly. Ethan paused. That detail lingered in the air. Sophia slowly stood up, her face pale. She left before knowing, she whispered. Her grip on Emma loosened slightly. Emma noticed. Just slightly. But enough. A flicker of something dark passed through her eyes before she lowered her head again, hiding it. Maybe, she was scared, Emma said softly. After all, suddenly being told she doesn't belong where she grew up. Her voice trembled just enough to sound sincere. Sophia immediately looked at her, guilt flashing across her face. Yes, that must be it. David turned toward the servants. Check the cameras. Every entrance. Every exit. I want to know when she left. Yes, sir. Within minutes, the large screen in the living room lit up with footage. Early morning. The gates. A slim figure pulling a small suitcase. Lily. She didn't hesitate. Didn't pause. Didn't look back. The room felt colder. Noah stared at the screen, his chest tightening. She planned this. Ethan scoffed, though it sounded less certain now. So what? She wants attention? Fine, she got it. But his eyes stayed on the screen longer than necessary. David's gaze darkened slightly. Trace her phone. A servant quickly responded. Sir, her number is no longer active. That answer made the silence heavier. Sophia sank back into the sofa. She cut contact. Her voice broke slightly. She doesn't want to be found. Emma stepped forward gently, placing a hand on Sophia's shoulder. Auntie, don't worry too much. She might just need some time. Her tone was soft, comforting. But inside, her heart was racing. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Lily was supposed to come back. To struggle. To be compared. To lose. Not disappear completely. David spoke again, his tone colder now. Expand the search. Check train stations, airports, hotels. Use every connection if necessary. He paused. Then added. She is still a Carter. Noah lowered his gaze. That sentence felt strange. Now she was a Carter. The house, once calm and orderly, began to shift. Phones rang more often. Servants moved faster. Conversations became shorter, sharper. Something unseen had unsettled everything. By evening, there were still no results. No records. No sightings. No trace. It was as if Lily had vanished into thin air. Ethan leaned against the desk, irritation clear on his face. This is ridiculous. A person can't just disappear. Noah looked at him. But she did. Sophia sat quietly, her thoughts drifting. A memory surfaced. A young girl standing at the edge of the room. Quiet. Watching. Waiting. Lily. Back then, had she ever truly looked at her? Her chest tightened. Meanwhile, far from the city, a bus slowed to a stop. The doors opened with a soft hiss. Lily stepped down, her suitcase in hand. The air felt different here. Cleaner. Lighter. No towering buildings. No suffocating expectations. Just a quiet town, slowly waking under the golden light of morning. She adjusted her grip on the suitcase and walked forward. No hesitation. No fear. Only calm. The small apartment she rented was simple. A single room. A bed. A table. A window that let in sunlight. It wasn't luxurious. But it was hers. Lily placed her suitcase down and opened the window. Fresh air filled the room. She closed her eyes for a moment. Silence. Peace. Something she had never truly experienced before. Her new phone rested on the table. No contacts. No past. No one who knew her. She sat down slowly, looking at her reflection in the glass. I'm free now. The words were soft. Almost unfamiliar. Back at the Carter mansion, the atmosphere grew heavier with each passing hour. Dinner was quiet. Unnaturally quiet. The empty seat at the table stood out more than anyone expected. Noah kept glancing at it. She hasn't eaten with us even once. He didn't realize he had spoken out loud until Ethan responded. Why does that matter? Noah hesitated. I don't know. But it did matter. For some reason, it did. Sophia put down her chopsticks, unable to continue eating. I keep thinking, she said slowly. If she knew, would she have stayed? No one answered. Emma tightened her grip on her utensils. A faint sound echoed against the plate. She forced a smile. Auntie, please don't think too much. She might come back soon. But even as she said it, she wasn't sure anymore. David finally spoke. She will be found. His tone left no room for doubt. But for the first time, even he wasn't completely certain. Days passed. Still nothing. No calls. No traces. No Lily. Then, one afternoon, a small breakthrough. A servant hurried into the room. "Sir, we found something." Everyone looked up. A bank record. She withdrew all her savings the morning she left. Ethan frowned. So she planned everything. Noah asked quickly, "Where?" The servant hesitated. The location was from a branch outside the city. David's eyes narrowed slightly. "She's moving farther." Noah's chest tightened. She really doesn't want to come back. The truth, once distant, was becoming clearer. Lily didn't leave in confusion. She didn't leave in fear. She left by choice. And that realization was far more unsettling than anything else. Far away, in the quiet town, Lily stood inside a small cafe. The scent of coffee filled the air. Warm. Comforting. Normal. "Are you here for the job?" the owner asked kindly. Lily nodded. "Yes." The owner smiled. "Good. We needed someone. Simple. No questions. No judgment. No expectations." Lily lowered her gaze slightly. "Thank you." For the first time, her life moved forward without them. And in the distance, unseen, the Carter family had already begun their search. But they didn't realize yet. They weren't just looking for their daughter. They were chasing someone who had already chosen to disappear. Morning light slipped quietly through the cafe windows, painting soft patterns across the wooden floor. Lily stood behind the counter, carefully pouring coffee into a cup. Her movements were slow, steady, almost therapeutic. "Not too full," the cafe owner reminded gently from the side. Lily nodded. "I understand." Her voice was calm, polite, without hesitation. It had only been a few days, but she was already adapting. No one here knew her past. No one looked at her with expectation. No one compared her to anyone else. She simply existed. "Lily, table 3, a coworker called." She turned, picking up the tray without a word. At the table, a young couple sat together, laughing softly. "Your coffee," Lily said, placing the cups down carefully. "Thank you," the woman smiled warmly. Lily returned a small nod before stepping away. Simple interactions. Short conversations. But they felt real. During her break, Lily sat near the window, a cup of tea in her hands. Outside, people walked slowly, unhurried. A child ran past, chasing a stray balloon, laughter echoing faintly. Lily watched quietly. Her expression softened, just slightly. In her previous life, she had never noticed things like this. She had always been chasing something. Approval. Recognition. A place she thought she needed. But now, she lowered her gaze to the tea. "I don't need it anymore." The bell above the cafe door rang. A man walked in. Tall. Calm. Dressed simply, but with an air that stood out. His eyes swept across the cafe once before settling somewhere quiet. "Welcome," Lily said automatically. He gave a small nod. "Black coffee." "All right." She prepared the drink, her movements precise. When she placed the cup in front of him, he looked at her for a brief moment. Not intrusive. Just observant. "Thank you," he said. His voice was low, steady. Lily nodded slightly and turned to leave. "Wait." She paused. "Yes." "Are you new here?" "Yes." He studied her for a second longer, then simply said, "You're doing well." It was a simple sentence. But something about it felt unfamiliar. No expectations. No hidden meaning. Just acknowledgement. "Thank you," Lily replied quietly before walking away. The man, Ryan Blake, watched her for a moment longer before lowering his gaze to his coffee. Interesting. That was the only word that came to his mind. Back in the city, the atmosphere inside the Carter mansion had changed. Not loudly. Not obviously. But enough. "No updates?" Ethan asked, his patience thinning. The assistant shook his head. None, sir. Ethan clicked his tongue, clearly irritated. How is that possible? We've checked everything. David stood near the window, silent as always. But his frown had deepened over the past few days. She didn't leave traces, he said. She removed them. Noah sat quietly, a tablet in his hands. He had been going through old records. Photos. Documents. Anything related to Lily. She transferred schools 3 times growing up, he murmured. No one responded. So he continued. Her guardians weren't stable either. Sophia, who had been sitting nearby, slowly looked up. What do you mean? Noah hesitated before answering. She didn't grow up in one place. She moved a lot. Each sentence landed heavily. Ethan frowned slightly. So? Noah looked at him. So she was alone. That simple conclusion made the room quieter. Sophia's fingers tightened slightly. Alone. All those years. Her chest felt heavy. But she quickly looked away. Emma, who had been silent, finally spoke. Maybe that's why she's acting like this. Her voice was soft. Carefully measured. If someone grows up without stability, they might not understand family properly. The words sounded reasonable. Even concerned. But Noah frowned. Something about it didn't sit right. David turned. Enough speculation. We focus on finding her. Meanwhile, in the small town, the cafe had grown busier. Lily moved between tables with quiet efficiency. She no longer hesitated. No longer overthought. Everything felt natural. Lily, you're getting faster, her coworker smiled. Lily gave a small nod. I'm getting used to it. Good. The boss likes you. That sentence would have meant everything to her before. Now, it was just normal. As the day ended, Lily stepped outside. The sky was painted in soft orange and fading blue. She took a slow breath. The air felt lighter than anything she remembered. You work here. The voice came from behind. Lily turned. Ryan stood a short distance away. Yes. He walked closer, stopping at a respectful distance. You're not from here. It wasn't a question. No. Running away? Lily's gaze shifted slightly. But her expression didn't change. No. A brief pause. Just leaving. Ryan watched her carefully, then nodded. Fair enough. No more questions. No pressure. See you tomorrow, he said simply before turning away. Lily stood there for a moment. Then quietly repeated. See you. Back in the city, night had fallen. Noah sat alone in his room, staring at an old photograph. A young girl. Standing slightly apart from others. Not smiling. Just watching. Lily. He didn't remember this photo. Didn't remember when it was taken. Or why it existed. But now. He couldn't look away. Where are you? He whispered. At the same time, miles away. Lily lay in her small bed, staring at the ceiling. The room was quiet. No noise. No pressure. She closed her eyes slowly. Her breathing steady. Her mind calm. For the first time. She wasn't thinking about the Carter family. And that absence was the beginning of something new. The town was quiet in the early morning. A thin layer of mist lingered in the air, softening the outlines of buildings and streets. The cafe lights were already on. Lily stood inside, tying her apron, her movements slow and familiar. Routine had settled into her life. Wake up. Work. Rest. Simple. Peaceful. The bell above the door rang softly. Ryan walked in, as usual. Morning, he said. Morning, Lily replied, already preparing his coffee before he even ordered. He noticed. You remember. Lily placed the cup in front of him. You always order the same. Ryan gave a faint smile. That's efficient. There was a brief silence. Not uncomfortable. Just quiet. You're settling in well, he said after a moment. Lily didn't respond immediately. It's easy here. That was all she said. Ryan didn't ask more. But his gaze lingered for a second longer. Easy. That word didn't quite match the person in front of him. Miles away, a car pulled into the small town. Noah stepped out, looking around. The place was smaller than he expected. Quieter. Almost too quiet. He held his phone tightly, staring at the address on the screen. A bank record. A small clue. But it was the only real lead they had. "She's somewhere here," he murmured. Back at the mansion, tension had begun to show more clearly. Ethan paced across the living room. This is pointless. Sending Noah alone? What is he going to do? David remained calm, though his tone carried weight. He notices details others don't. Ethan scoffed. He's too soft. Sophia sat silently, her gaze distant. She's really out there alone. Emma stood beside her, gently holding her arm. Auntie, please don't worry too much. Noah will find her. Her voice was gentle. But her eyes were restless. Things were changing too quickly. The more Lily stayed missing, the more she mattered. And that was dangerous. Back in the town, Noah walked slowly down the street. He checked every place carefully. Shops, restaurants, cafes, anywhere she might appear. Hours passed. Nothing. He stopped in front of a small cafe. For some reason. He didn't walk in immediately. Instead, he stood there, staring through the glass. Inside, Lily moved quietly between tables, carrying a tray. Her expression was calm. Her steps steady. She looked different. Not weak. Not lost. Not desperate. She looked like someone who belonged exactly where she was. Noah's breath caught. Lily. He didn't move. Didn't call out. He just stood there, watching. This wasn't the sister he imagined. This wasn't someone waiting to be found. This was someone who had already chosen her place. Inside, Lily paused for a brief second. Something felt off. Like a gaze lingering too long. She turned slightly, her eyes scanning the window. But Noah had already stepped back, out of sight. Her brows furrowed faintly. But after a moment, she continued working. Outside, Noah leaned against the wall, his heart still racing. She's fine. The realization hit him harder than expected. Not just fine. She was living. Without them. That thought felt heavy. He looked down at his phone. He could call the family. Tell them. Bring them here. But his hand didn't move. Inside the cafe, Lily wiped down a table, unaware of the storm just outside. Noah stayed there for a long time. Watching. Thinking. Struggling. Until finally, he stepped forward. The bell rang as he entered. Lily looked up. For a brief moment. Their eyes met. Time seemed to stop. Noah's chest tightened. Lily. Her expression didn't change. Not shock. Not anger. Not even surprise. Just calm. "You're mistaken," she said quietly. Noah froze. Lily held his gaze for a second longer. Then, she looked away. "Please take a seat if you're ordering." Her tone was polite. Distant. Professional. As if he were a stranger. Noah felt something twist painfully in his chest. "It's me," he said, stepping closer. "Noah." A brief silence. Lily's hands stilled for just a second. Barely noticeable. But then she continued, as if nothing had happened. "What would you like to order?" Noah stared at her. "You recognize me." This time. She didn't answer immediately. Then softly. "Yes." That single word carried no emotion. Noah swallowed. "Then why?" Lily finally looked at him again. Her eyes were clear. Steady. Unreadable. "Because it doesn't matter." The words were simple. But they hit harder than anything else. Noah's voice lowered. "We've been looking for you." "I know." "You know?" "You would," she said calmly. Noah took a step closer. "Come back with me." Lily didn't move. Didn't hesitate. "No." The answer came immediately. Without doubt. Noah's expression tightened. "At least talk to us." "There's nothing to talk about." Her tone wasn't cold. It wasn't angry. It was final. Noah felt his chest grow heavier. Do you hate us? Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she shook her head slightly. No. That should have been relieving. But somehow, it wasn't. Then why won't you come back? Lily looked at him. Really looked this time. Because I don't belong there. Noah's voice broke slightly. You do. Lily's gaze didn't waver. No. A small pause. You just realized I exist. The words were soft. But they carried years of silence. Years of absence. Noah had no answer. Lily stepped back slightly. Please don't come here again. Noah's eyes widened. This place is mine. Not the cafe. Not the town. Her life. And she wasn't going to let it be taken away. Noah stood there, unable to move. For the first time. He understood something. They didn't lose her. She left them. And she wasn't coming back. Noah didn't leave immediately. Even after Lily walked away, even after her figure disappeared behind the counter, he remained standing in the same spot. The cafe continued as usual. Customers talked. Cups clinked. Life moved forward. But for Noah, everything felt stuck. He finally sat down. Not because he wanted to. But because he didn't know what else to do. Lily didn't look at him again. Not once. She treated him the same way she treated every other customer. Polite. Distant. Unfamiliar. That hurt more than anger ever could. When his coffee was placed in front of him, Noah spoke quietly. Thank you. Lily gave a small nod. You're welcome. Nothing more. Noah clenched his hands slightly. This wasn't right. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. That night, he stood outside the cafe again. This time, he made the call. At the Carter mansion, the phone rang. Ethan picked it up. Noah. I found her. The words froze the entire room. Where are you? Ethan asked immediately. Noah hesitated. He turned, looking at the small cafe behind him. At the soft light glowing through the windows. She's fine. That wasn't the answer Ethan wanted. I asked where you are. Noah exhaled slowly. Then gave the location. Silence followed. We're coming, David said from the background. The call ended. Noah lowered his phone. His chest felt heavy. He knew what would happen next. And for the first time, he wasn't sure if it was the right thing. The next day, the town felt different. Not because anything had changed, but because something was coming. Lily sensed it. Not clearly, but enough. She moved through the cafe as usual, her expression calm. But her eyes were sharper. More aware. Ryan noticed. You're distracted. I'm not. You are. Lily paused for a second. Then simply said. Something is coming. Ryan studied her. Then nodded slightly. Do you want help? Lily shook her head. No. A brief pause. I'll handle it. Ryan didn't insist. But he didn't leave either. By noon. They arrived. The black car stopped in front of the cafe. The presence alone felt out of place in the quiet town. David stepped out first. Followed by Ethan. Then Sophia. And finally, Emma. Noah stood nearby, already waiting. Sophia's eyes were filled with emotion. Where is she? Noah looked toward the cafe. Inside. They entered together. The bell rang. Lily looked up. For a moment. Everything stilled. Her gaze moved across each face. Slowly. Calmly. No shock. No panic. Just quiet understanding. They came, she said softly. Noah's chest tightened. Sophia stepped forward immediately. Lily. Her voice broke. But Lily didn't move. Didn't step forward. Didn't respond. The distance between them remained. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. I didn't know. Lily's voice was gentle. But you didn't try to know either. The words stopped her completely. Ethan frowned, stepping forward. Can we talk somewhere else? There's nothing to talk about. Her answer came instantly. David's gaze settled on her. Sharp. Measured. Come back. It wasn't a request. Lily looked at him. Calm. Unmoved. No. The same answer. The same certainty. Ethan's patience snapped. Do you know what you're doing? Yes. You're walking away from your family. Lily tilted her head slightly. Family? The word felt unfamiliar on her tongue. You made that decision already. Silence. No one could deny it. Sophia stepped forward again, tears falling freely now. Please, give us a chance. Lily's expression softened. Just a little. But it didn't change her answer. You had your chance. Sophia covered her mouth, unable to speak. Noah looked at Lily, his voice low. What do we need to do? Lily met his eyes. For the first time. There was something there. Not anger. Not hatred. Just distance. Nothing. That answer broke something. Ethan clenched his fists. So that's it. You just leave like this? Lily nodded slightly. Yes. Emma, who had been silent until now, finally stepped forward. Her expression fragile. Her voice trembling. Lily. I'm sorry. Everyone looked at her. I never wanted to take your place, Emma continued, her eyes filled with tears. Lily watched her quietly, then said, You didn't take it. Emma froze. They gave it to you. The words were calm, but they stripped everything bare. Emma's face turned pale. Lily continued softly, And you accepted it. Silence fell. Heavy. Unavoidable. Emma's lips trembled. But no words came out. Lily stepped back slightly, creating distance again. This is my life now. Her voice was steady, clear. I won't go back. No one moved. Because this time, they understood. This wasn't anger. This wasn't rebellion. This was a decision. Final. Ryan, who had been standing quietly to the side, finally spoke. She's already made her choice. All eyes turned to him. David's gaze sharpened. And you are someone who respects it. Simple. Direct. Lily didn't look at Ryan. But she didn't deny it either. That alone said enough. Sophia broke down completely. Lily, please. But Lily didn't move. She simply bowed her head slightly. A gesture of respect. And then, she turned away. This time. In front of all of them. And walked back into her life. Without hesitation. Without looking back. The door closed softly behind her. And no one followed. Because now, they finally understood something they should have known from the beginning. She didn't need them. And that was the part they could never fix. The ride back was silent. No one spoke. Not David. Not Ethan. Not even Noah. The car moved smoothly along the road, but the air inside felt heavy, suffocating. Sophia sat with her hands clenched tightly in her lap, her eyes red and swollen. She didn't cry anymore. Not because the pain was gone, but because it had settled too deeply. Ethan leaned back, staring out the window. His jaw was tight. His mind replayed the scene over and over again. Lily standing there, calm, unshaken, walking away from them, without hesitation. She really left, he muttered under his breath. No one corrected him. David remained still, his gaze forward. For the first time. He had no immediate solution. At the far end, Emma sat quietly. Too quietly. Her hands rested on her lap, fingers slightly trembling. Everything had changed. And she could feel it. Not because Lily came back. But because she didn't. The space Lily left behind had suddenly become impossible to ignore. Back at the mansion, the silence followed them inside. The familiar place felt unfamiliar. Sophia stopped near the entrance. Her eyes drifted instinctively toward the staircase. Her room. No one answered. Slowly, she walked up. Step by step. The door creaked softly as she pushed it open. The room was clean. Empty. Cold. No traces of the girl who had lived there. No belongings. No warmth. Sophia stepped inside, her breathing uneven. She didn't take anything. Her voice broke. Ethan stood at the doorway, his expression complicated. She didn't want anything from us. That realization hit harder than rejection. Noah walked in slowly, his gaze scanning the room. Then he noticed something. A small mark on the wall. Faint. Almost invisible. "What is that?" he asked. Sophia turned, following his gaze. Numbers. Lightly scratched. 1, 2, 3, and more. Days. Noah's chest tightened. She was counting. Counting what? Days she stayed here? Days she endured? No one asked. Because deep down, they already knew. Sophia covered her mouth, tears falling again. She was here, all this time. And they never saw her. Not once. Downstairs, David stood alone. His phone rested in his hand. Dozens of contacts. Endless resources. Power. But none of it mattered now. Because the one thing he couldn't do was make her come back. Noah walked down slowly. "She won't return." David didn't respond. "She wasn't angry," Noah continued quietly. "She just didn't choose us." That truth settled heavily. Ethan let out a dry laugh. "So what now? We just accept it." Noah looked at him. "What else can we do?" For once. Ethan had no answer. Days passed. The house remained the same. But everything inside it had changed. Meals were quieter. Conversations shorter. Sophia often sat alone. Sometimes in Lily's empty room. Sometimes in the living room. Staring at nothing. Ethan worked longer hours. As if avoiding something. Noah kept searching. Not physically anymore. But through memories. Trying to understand the girl they never knew. Emma watched everything. Every shift. Every silence. Every absence. At first, she thought Lily leaving was a relief. But now, it felt like losing something she couldn't replace. Because no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't fill that empty space. And worse, she knew she never truly belonged there either. Meanwhile, in the quiet town, life continued. The cafe was warm as always. The soft hum of conversations filled the air. Lily moved naturally between tables. Her steps light. Her expression calm. "Lily, can you take this?" her coworker asked. "Of course." Simple. Easy. Ryan sat by the window, watching her. Not obviously. Just enough. "You look different," he said when she approached. Lily paused slightly. "Do I?" Lighter. She didn't respond immediately. Then quietly. "Maybe." Ryan nodded. He didn't ask why. He didn't need to. Because some things were better left understood, not explained. That evening, Lily stepped outside. The sky stretched wide above her, painted in soft fading colors. She stood there for a while. Quiet. Still. Then slowly, she exhaled. The weight she once carried. The need to belong. The pain of being unseen. It was gone. Not completely forgotten. But no longer controlling her. Her phone buzzed softly. A message. Unknown number. She stared at it for a moment. Then opened it. "Take care of yourself." No name. But she knew. Noah. Lily looked at the screen for a long time. Then, she typed a reply. "You too." She didn't add anything more. She didn't need to. Back at the mansion, Noah looked at his phone. The reply was short. Simple. But he smiled faintly. Because this time, it wasn't silence. It wasn't rejection. It was distance. And maybe that was all they were allowed now. Far away, Lily put her phone away. Ryan walked up beside her. "Everything okay?" Lily looked ahead. At the open sky. At the life in front of her. Then she nodded. Yes. And this time, she meant it. The wind moved gently around her. Soft. Free. Lily Carter didn't look back. Not because she couldn't. But because she finally didn't need to.